Let's preview the Athletics for 2026 up next on Fantasy Baseball Today. Welcome to On the Beat, our mini team preview series here at Fantasy Baseball Today. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Caray, play-by-play announcer for the Athletics on NBC Sports California. Make sure to give him a follow on X at Chris Caray. And let's take a quick look at the offseason so far for the Athletics. There hasn't been too much movement, some little moves going on here. They acquired Jeff McNeil from the Mets. They signed reliever Mark Leiter Jr. They also extended Tyler Soderstrom, 7 years, $86 million there. So locking up one of the players that they developed in-house and obviously had a great season for them last year. Obviously, this is a transitional phase for the A's. It looks like their offense should be really good, but major questions on the pitching side. What are you expecting here in 2026?
I think you took the words right out of my mouth, Frank. I mean, this offense is potent. I mean, from top to bottom, whether you have Lawrence Butler leading off, then you've got the likes of Rooker, Langoliers, Nick Kurtz, who is already the best first baseman in baseball, in my opinion. I don't think it's particularly close anymore. The next closest has to be Freddie Freeman. This offense is going to perform at high levels at a Sutter Health Park in 2026. Yes, the pitching has a few question marks. You wonder if David Force and the rest of the front office will go out and get another starter. There's still plenty of talent available this offseason for the A's to get ahead of spring training starting on February 21st. But yes, you are right. The offense is going to perform well. The pitching, hopefully they can limit a lot of damage at home and perform a little bit better on the road. And I think that's the goal of Mark Kotsay and David Force.
All right, we have some big fantasy questions here for the Athletics. Last year, Lawrence Butler was a very hyped player for fantasy baseball following his strong 2024. He was solid. He went 2020 last season, but definitely took a step back. You know, the OPS dropped around 100 points from one season to the next. And after the season, we learned that Butler was playing through a patellar tendon strain in his right knee. He underwent a procedure on October 3rd. So do you have any updates on the health, the knee here with Lawrence Butler, and what are your expectations for him this upcoming season?
I haven't heard anything about the knee. I do know that Lawrence has been in Atlanta working out tirelessly and doing a lot for his foundation. Actually, a few days ago, he held Law Day in his hometown of Atlanta. A lot of kids, a lot of people from the Zone 4 area. Lawrence Butler is very tirelessly committing his efforts to promoting the game of baseball in Atlanta. So he looks healthy. He looks sharp. It looks like he's swinging the bat well. I don't expect him to be out for long if he is out at all. I mean, he nipped it in the bud quickly to get that surgery on October 3rd. And knowing him, you can't keep him off the field. And to answer your second question, Lawrence Butler, I'm expecting big things. In fact, if we did our breakout sleeper thing, he's one of my breakout guys if it was to be an offensive player. But I have one more in mind over him. Remember, I mean, he came off of that 7 years, $65.5 million contract that he signed back last March. And I think there was a lot of a prove-it mentality for Butler. He wanted to be able to be that guy to assure the team that the contract was worth it and that maybe possibly he was worth more. And I think if you ask Lawrence, in his own opinion, it was a down year. But really, if you look at the numbers, 234, I believe, 2020 season for the first time since 2013, where another A's outfielder, Coco Crisp, who also had a lot of flair, also had a lot of personality, set that. So it had been 12 years before that happened. And because of Jacob Wilson being an all-star and the Rookie of the Year runner-up, and because of Nick Kurtz being the Rookie of the Year and taking the league by storm, because Rooker performed well, Soderstrom performed well, Langoliers performed well, I think a lot of people forget that Lawrence Butler actually had a fairly decent year. And so now he's got that first year under his extension, under his belt, and now he can go out there and play baseball with an offense that is willing to bring him home. And if he can bat leadoff and continue to have that surge of power that he did in the back end of the season, I think that he's going to have a really good year in 2026.
The A's made a huge trade last season. They sent Mason Miller over to the Padres. Got a pretty good prospect in return there with Leo DeVries, but it left a huge void in their bullpen. We need saves in fantasy. We're always trying to figure out who's the closer on every team. Any idea who could emerge here as a save source? I mean, right now it looks like it's going to be Committee, but have you heard any one or two names that could maybe emerge as a main save source in this A's bullpen?
I have two names, and they're not unfamiliar to the A's whatsoever, Frank. That's a great question. I think that that's a lot of what we're trying to figure out right now is how they're going to piece together that bullpen. I think you're right. I think it is going to be by committee in 2026, or at least to start until somebody emerges to be a viable closing option. Obviously, Mason Miller going to the Padres was a big hit to the A's, and it was very helpful, the Padres postseason push. But actually, the A's performed better by committee in the second half of the year. They had the resurgence of Sean Newcomb coming out of the bullpen. They had guys like Michael Kelly, Elvis Alvarado coming into the fold and really having that 1-2-3 punch. And they ended up closing out some great games. So the two names that come to mind, obviously losing Newcomb was really difficult for him to go to the Chicago White Sox on a $4 million deal. Michael Kelly is the first one. The veteran leadership that he brings, I think a level of stability. His numbers were great. 42 games, 4-4, 3.18 ERA, only 2 saves and 3 opportunities, and he has not gotten too many opportunities to close out games, but good stuff. Mid-90s fastball, good breaking ball. I think Michael Kelly is the first option, and then really, for a sustained period of time, Elvis Alvarado, 6'4", Dominican, power arm, right-handed pitcher. I think he could be a guy who went 1-1 with a 3.19 ERA. No saves, but you look at how he pitches the baseball, and it's fairly similar to Mason Miller. Upper 90s, gets to 100, 101. If he can command the baseball, I think number 61, if he's still wearing that by spring, could be the first choice closer for Mark Kotsay.
Yeah, Elvis Alvarado, I'm looking at it now. I mean, he averages 98.7 miles per hour on the fastball with a 41% whiff rate on his slider. So seems like everything's there if he can throw enough strikes. So that'll be one to watch for in spring training, and we'll see who emerges here. But two names there that you gave, Michael Kelly and Elvis Alvarado in the A's bullpen. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema. The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today, we are previewing the Athletics with Chris Caray, play-by-play announcer for the team on NBC Sports California. Let's get into a sleeper for this upcoming season. Who do you have for the A's?
My first pick is Jacob Lopez, and I think this guy has also flown under the radar in a lot of ways. I mean, left-handed starter, 21 appearances for the A's, 17 starts, and he really emerged as a quality starter in the major leagues. I mean, you look at his numbers, 7-7, 4.08 ERA. Yes, Sutter Health Park is an offensive-friendly ballpark. Everybody knows it. He had to figure his way through Sutter Health Park, but once he stabilized things, it got a lot better. And surprisingly, he pitched better at home than he did on the road. He had a 5.4 ERA outside of Sacramento, but at home, 3-3, 2.64 ERA. Post All-Star game, he was 4-2 with 3.89. So Jacob Lopez could be a very good starter for the A's. I think he backs up Jeffrey Springs as the other lefty in the starting rotation really well. And if Jacob continues to pitch the way that he did closing out the season in 2025, I think a lot more teams are going to be very intrigued with Jacob Lopez in 2027 and beyond. But the A's are lucky to have him right now.
Yeah, and we've seen kind of this trend around baseball, right? There's other, let's call them funky lefties, right, that have performed really well, right? Guys like Andrew Abbott with the Cincinnati Reds, or even like Noah Cameron with the Kansas City Royals. It's just these guys have found a way to kind of play up, even though they don't throw incredibly hard. Jacob Lopez, only like 91 miles per hour on the fastball. That fastball had a 29% whiff rate, so he does a really, really good job kind of like deception-wise with that fastball, and obviously the slider and changeup look like really good pitches for him as well. Let's stick with the pitching here and go over to a breakout. Who do you have for the A's this season?
I mean, I think this guy might be the second best player on the team should he be able to live up to the expectation. That's Luis Morales. I mean, he's only 23 years old, right-handed arm. He pitches already like a top-of-the-rotation guy, but because you have Severino and Springs there and Lopez following, he might be a 4 or 5, and that'll be good for his development. 4-3, 3.14 ERA in 2025, 43 strikeouts in 10 games. I mean, lefties only hit 222 against him. Righties hit 202 against him. And as a starter, he had a 3.09 ERA. Luis Morales had a tremendous game in St. Louis in early September that all the Cardinals people, including my dad, said, I would love to trade for him. He would be the guy that I would like to go and get because you just don't see that kind of talent. He turns 24 this year, I think the end of the year. So the A's have plenty of time to work with him. And I think there's so much to be excited about with Luis Morales. I mean, everybody will talk about the offense and think of guys like, like a Lawrence Butler or a Nick Kurtz or whatever. But when you think about young pitching, it starts with Luis Morales. And then there are other names like Gage Jump and all of the others like Jamie Arnold that could follow and could be really exciting for the A's in the next coming years. But I think 2026 will be a great year for Luis Morales to make that big jump and finally announce himself to the world as one of the premier starters in the American League.
Yeah, that arm is live. 97 miles per hour on the fastball. The sweeper, the slider are great with pitches so far. Changeup looks like it's pretty good and still developing as well. So definitely a name to watch there. Could break out this season is Luis Morales. Big thanks to Chris Caray, play-by-play announcer for the Athletics. Make sure to give him a follow on X at Chris Caray. And for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to our On the Beat team preview series, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.